Hey, we're back. It is time once again for AHLPSN this week. T. Sibs with you. Vibes here to open up the season with our first show of the season. What the hell season are we in? 5? I honestly have lost track. I don't know. When you play in some other shit league, then you kind of lose track of what's going on with this one. But I'm out of that shit league, and now I'm back on this again. We are here to talk everything AHL, and some of it good, some of it bad, though. And plenty of bad to talk about when it comes to how Week 1 is shaped up for some of us. Not just playing the game, not just been what's been going on with our team, but with what you have to deal with your teammates and people who say, well, I know I just got traded to you, but if I don't like who I'm playing with, I want to be traded again. To which I would say, you're a fucking moron, and you should just quit because you apparently can't get past childhood. But we'll talk more about that in a minute.
You're not going to be good in life either.
Oh, my God.
Get yourself ready for life because, listen, I tell you, it's going to be a lot of things that you don't want to do that you have to do. But I guess we'll do life lessons later on, not right now.
Well, it's, we're starting off yet another season, a summer season. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about last season and the run that Stockton made and the quarterfinals, the semifinals. It was a very interesting season, to say the least. And while the finals didn't necessarily go the way we on the Bears would have liked it, and probably the audience would have preferred, they would have liked to have seen a better matchup at the end. But even with that being the case, still, vibes, some good playoff action. We saw, the Sens, the Crunch, the Wild, Stockton, Hershey, all at the end. No big surprises when it came down to those teams. And, of course, the Checkers got pretty far and made some noise on their end. But the season was fairly mild-mannered, I would say. And then all of a sudden, the playoffs started, and, we saw a lot of really good action.
Yeah, we did. There were some good teams. There were some teams that I feel like we all kind of knew would be involved. And some teams that kind of came off as a surprise. And it just seems like every season, you get the teams that are the surprises, and then you get the teams that sort of just catch fire at the right time. And sometimes they're able to ride a wave. And, now you got Stockton, too, who just won it last season. They're back again pretty much in full force. So it kind of carries over to this season. Let's see if they'll be able to defend their title, which is it's actually kind of cool. I actually like that. I like the fact that you have, most of the remnants of the championship team still hanging around in the league and carrying into this season. But, just to give respect to last season and those who were able to win and make some noise in the playoffs, it was great and did some really amazing things.
And Ryan from the Wild, whose team, one game, one goal away from getting to the finals themselves. Again, last season, you guys were pretty steady the whole way through. You didn't make a lot of moves at the trading deadline. You held pat with the guys that got you there. And maybe the one team that really had, you could say had the best draft because you didn't make a lot of changes and you guys almost knocked off Stockton. It had to be at least rewarding to say you went with the team. You didn't make a lot of changes, and you didn't have to because you had the right guys there from the beginning.
Absolutely. Helped so much. I mean, that really can't be understated. I think going into bidding, we only had 4 guys and $15 million to bid with. It was insane how the season set up. But you're exactly right. Having that continuity from one season to the next, it helps so much. And you can look at Stockton. We have several, really key players transitioning, past, we have Userpick coming back. They're really set up for a
Sid,
Yeah.
Sid, it seems like we got audio issues. They can't hear myself or Ryan.
That's an interesting proposition. Don't know why that's the case.
I'm gonna say something to them.
Should be okay. Let's see. They should be hearing everything coming out of here. They don't hear you or Ryan. Really? Wow. Okay. This is going to be fun. Oh, geez. Well, that's there's some sort of there's some sort of problem with the. Hold on a second. How about that, guys? Is anything better now? How about that?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the chat. Can you guys hear anything now? Or you still just hitting Sid? Well, I guess if they don't respond, they don't hear anything.
They should be getting. They should be getting you guys. It shouldn't be an issue. This is what happens when you go on the air at the last second. Should be hearing you guys. Wow, and I did a little bit of testing at the end.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, it's very. This is not good. Why? Let me see if I can. Let's see. We should be getting the main output. Yeah, technical difficulties. If I had music, well, I do have music. I could play it, I suppose.
You need like an elevator scene.
Yeah.
Like in the Blues Brothers. They're in the elevator.
Right. Oh yeah, the elevator music. I wonder how many guys would know what the hell that means at their age.
Kind of sad. That's what it means.
No, I'm talking about elevator music to begin with. Oh jeez. Well, this is totally unfortunate. Wow, what else could be going on here? Oh, hold on one second. Let's see if. I don't think so. Let me. Well, this is going swimmingly right away here. Let's see. Hold on a second. Will that be the issue? I don't know. I get the feeling that's not the issue. Hard reset. That doesn't mean anything to me, John. That means absolutely nothing to me. It should be, let's see. Hard reset means absolutely nothing.
Do you want to like reset the call? Or
No, I don't think it's you guys. I don't think. Go ahead and talk.
I mean, anyone? No?
You know, hold on a second. Hold on a second. Hold on. It should be.
We got Sid. We got until all they got.
Well, that's good enough. No, not tonight.
All right.
Got me fine. Now you're coming through here. This is great. This is just effing great. Let's see. That should be feeding. Hold on a second. Let me take a look here.
Oh shit! I gotta change my thing. Looking at the screen now, it's because Brian Walker, Wild 18.
Nor do you have a picture
associated with the Wild.
How
Boy,
about
we're
that?
really fucking batting 1,000 tonight. Jesus.
I think
Christ.
I think we're doing a lot better now, guys. We should be doing a lot better. You guys
really
can hear
batting
us.
1,000.
You guys talk.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hello.
what's up? I'm Vibes. Nice to meet you.
What's up, Vibes?
I'm a
How's your
whisper. I'm a
How's your
whisper.
season going here?
So far, absolute shit.
Yeah.
But we're gonna try and turn it around here.
You got my boy
I'm a whisper. Hold on.
Pesdemic.
Am I still a whisper? Whisper.
Yeah, well, now you're coming through on OBS fine.
Oh, it's fixed.
Okay. Thank you,
I
Greg.
say I'm a
Great.
whisper. Yeah, no, they hear me, but they hear me a whisper.
No,
Like, what type of
they're a little
whisper? Is it
delayed,
like
though. They're a little delayed, so... And I'm not
What?
just saying slow. I mean, they were a little delayed in the feed, so...
Delayed in the head or delayed in... Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm a little delayed too. It happens, but whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think
Madden's, how do I sound? Do I sound all right, or am I still whispering? 'Cause, I mean, if we're whispering, I could... What's up, baby?
I think.
What's
Oh,
going on,
geez.
Madden's? You come here often?
That sounds sexy. Loud and clear. Okay. Thank you, John. All right, we're back on. Wow, that's
all right,
a cluster F that we're gonna have to edit.
Yeah. I had to get the fire extinguisher. The house was burning down. But
oh my God, I want to kill myself now. Hi, we're back. Anyway,
where were we?
Where the fuck were we? I don't know. Let's see.
We might as well run it again. We might as well just do the whole thing. Because,
should I start with the intro all over again?
We'll do it live.
Wait,
sure.
Should I do it right from the intro? Is that what you want me to do?
Yeah, why not? Yeah, I guess we might as well.
Okay. Well, if that's what you want, here we go.
No.
Really? No? Okay. I was going to. I'm always ready for the nonsensical bullshit.
Right. Listen, you know what? I'll give the abbreviated version. Acknowledgement of Stockton. Congratulations. Everything was really good. I know you heard Sibs, but you didn't get to hear me, so I guess I'll just run this down. Stockton, great job. It was fun. People won games, so on and so forth. Other people lost games.
Won games.
It was good. It was nice. We liked it, and now we're into this season. So there we go. Let's talk.
Ryan, you guys did well. You didn't make a lot of trades. You kept the guys that you had. Talk about that. It's a condensed version of a show. Go ahead.
I mean, we had a lot of players coming back from season 3 going into season 4. Made life really, really easy. We had $15 million worth of cap to pick up 4 guys, and we liked everybody that was on the team. So we didn't move people because it fit. That was condensed version. And then we succeeded because of it. Defensive core, getting a terrific goalie in Oh My God Price, having one of the best seasons ever. It was good.
And you guys, I can't imagine you didn't think you had a good shot at Stockton and couldn't have been there in the finals with the Bears. You guys played with them. You struggled a little bit, but then you were with them. You gave them all that they could handle, and I'm sure none of you were thinking, oh well, that makes sense because they're that good. You probably were all thinking that you're going to make it, and we're on par with those guys.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we went into the series, thinking like, wow, we have a really legitimate chance to get in. It wasn't, there wasn't a single doubt. I mean, the expectation going into the season was we're going to win it all. We had a great group, and that carried through the playoffs. We had a little bit of adversity through the first 2 series. And then the one in versus Stockton was a terrific series. I mean, they went up 3-0, and we were able to find a way to battle back and win, and force a Game 7, which was probably one of the most epic games I've ever played. It was, real. I would say it was like the series condensed into one game. It was 2-1 finish. They deserved to win. They were a terrific team all series long, all season long. Really, they have a ton of talent up front and then defensively as well. Nothing but respect for them. It was a lot of fun.
And what you were able to do that we in the Bears were not able to do was get down in that series and come storming right back. And, that's a testament to the players, to the management, the leadership on the team. You guys, never gave up and kept on pushing the whole time.
Absolutely. We had a really good room with a lot of actually, leadership caliber guys. We had, myself, Riverdale Stomp, Umekami Sick, as the 3 GMs. The other 2 were just, they're great guys. They know what it takes and they know, how to get guys going. You have a lot of veteran leadership. You have Bubba, who's, one of my closest buddies, off-road. You got Croc, a lot of unsung heroes, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, everyone
it was a group effort. And it was tough. Yeah.
So, taking that experience and looking ahead to this season, what kinds of things did you learn from what you guys experienced in Iowa last year? What do you take with you that you feel is helping you or going to help you this season, and what you're going to try to accomplish now with with what's going on with you?
I think first and foremost, chemistry and finding the right players to play with, and that it's all developed through not only playing through LG, but also in your off time, whether it's after games or before games, stuff like that. Finding where players are, it all helps. Currently, I'm on the New York Rangers up in the NHL, but
Right.
one of the things that I really wanted was for Angry Dangler to stay as my defensive line mate. I've been playing with him for 2 seasons now. We know where we're going to be on the ice. It really helps when you can look at a situation and know exactly where your defensive partner is going to be for that, to relieve pressure or, to help me out. That really helps. And then I think chemistry can't be understated. It's so important in this league, knowing where your forwards are going to be, all that. That's really what I learned from Iowa. We had a really close-knit group, and I think all the hours spent playing other than LG games really, really, really helped us.
Chemistry trumps skill, if you ask me.
Absolutely.
I feel like you could have skilled guys, and it just big giant flaming ball of shit on the ice, But
Absolutely.
No kidding.
Chemistry, you can't replace it.
For sure not. And I think once you have that chemistry, you can really coordinate what you're going to do on the ice. And then really, whether we want to all as a group in sync speed up the game or slow it down or play a really, really tight trap or play really, really loose, you can shift gears. You know what I mean? When you have that chemistry and everyone's on the same page. And I think that's really, really important in a game like this.
Yeah, for sure.
So, Vibes, you got a team this year, and you're going to and you're running it into the ground. I mean, you're running it. You're the GM, and so you've been out of running the team thing for a little bit and jumping back into it. What are some of the biggest changes that you've seen from season 2, where you had the Wolves, did a hell of a job over there. We know the story with Rockford. What's changed in your mind?
Wait, do you actually know the story?
Oh Jesus! Why did I even say that? That was a big mistake. Yeah. So what are you seeing that's different besides what we're going to talk about later?
First and foremost, I mean the most obvious thing that jumps out at you has got to be the status of players. It's a little bit more. You're a bit more in a box now than you were back then. In the sense of you really need to take stock of who's a prospect, who's an A status, and things like that. And then the other thing that I have to say, and this is credit to the league, is I feel like the overall level of management has risen. Now, that's funny because I constantly see in the shout box how, AHL management is a bunch of this and a bunch of that. And in a lot of ways they are, but still overall I feel like the level of management has risen because in season 2 by now I probably would have face fucked about 12 different GMs on trades, and you can't really do it this season. You know what I mean? It's people are hip, they know the talent, they know who's there, they know what works, they know what trades should and shouldn't be made, and for an honest guy like myself, it can be hard to navigate sometimes.
And so, with that being the case, have you seen? What's been the most surprising thing you've seen so far this season, with all the not the games, but with all the prep work, things that you went through in trying players out? your experience of trying to get a team together. Do you feel like it was, do you feel it was any easier because there's more talent out there, or did that just make it even more difficult to make decisions?
I don't know. Actually, I felt like it was kind of as far as like bidding. You mean it was hard putting a team together because there this season the talent pool was pretty thin. Fortunately for myself, I know like a lot of players from a lot of different leagues, and ultimately, I feel like I was able to get some guys that are lesser known in this league, and so on and so forth. And I mean, I guess it remains to be seen how that all turns out because right now we're kind of fucking the dog. But I think it'll get better, and I think ultimately things will balance out and work out. But I mean, it was tough in some ways, and in some ways not so tough.
And how about what you're seeing up in the NHL, Ryan? What's there were some stalwarts that were up there for a couple of years, the same players who had been successful for season 1, season 2, maybe even season 3. But I'm looking at the TC rosters, and I'm seeing some guys who I know I've seen play up in the NHL. There looks like there's been a turnover. How much of it is AHL guys going up? How much of it is even CHL guys, new guys you're not even familiar with?
You see it constantly. I mean, it looks like every time I play, I went up into the NHL. I haven't played a season there yet. I've ECU'd a couple games over the last couple seasons. However, I haven't been full time. Every game that I've played so far, there's someone I know on the other team, from the AHL, or I recognize from the CHL draft, or that happened this season. It's kind of funny, I play on a line right now with some real, AHL talent. You have Jay Drew, Jay Tryhard, and Double Bra are the line that I play with. They're all AHL guys who have succeeded at some point, in the AHL. Double Bra was GM of Tucson last season, won with the Checkers in season 3, and Jay Tryhard won in season 3. And Jay Drew was a GM of, what was it? I'm blanking. Bakersfield. So they're all AHL guys. It's the same kind of situation though around the league. You have you always see an AHLer from season past there. I think the real difference that I've seen though between the NHL and the AHL is the speed of the game. It's so much slower up in the NHL, and they make you pay for making the wrong move.
Well, we've been talking a lot about this the last season and what's been going on the start of this season, but obviously the team, our podcast team, still myself and Vibes, but Ryan joining us now full time. He was also part of the awards committee, and I think I want to congratulate and thank everybody who helped out with that. I think we all did a pretty good job of discussing it amongst each other. The statistician doing a fantastic job with stats and making sure that we got the real numbers, and that all went smoothly. Wish I had a chance to do a show, but as you can hear, I'm still trying to get my voice back a little bit from a couple of weeks ago. So, but Ryan, welcome to the team. Glad to have you with us, and even though you're playing up in the NHL, you still have plenty of experience with a lot of the guys down here. And I think it'd be nice to have the perspective of knowing, a lot of the guys that are here now, some of the guys that are up there playing in the NHL who, let's face it, at some point may very well come back down and play in the AHL during the stretch run.
Absolutely.
And I think that perspective will be nice to have on the show.
Definitely. I'm happy to be here and contribute. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Vibes,
there's also a lot of guys up there too who, this isn't a knock on them as a player because they're probably better than me, which isn't really saying a whole hell of a lot. But I feel like there's a lot of guys who are NHL right now who are kind of still really AHL, and will probably be back here eventually. And I feel like there's a very close link between AHL and NHL this season. So it's kind of fitting to have Ryan here sort of representing, the NHL, but still being a part of us. So it's cool. Not that Ryan will be back because he's a stud, so he'll probably stay. But
we never know. I might Cleveland it.
Oh boy. So we're going that way with this group. Hopefully we'll get Dead Soul on here and there. He's got a lot going on this summer, so he's not able to commit fully to the show, but hopefully we will get him back on board from
and there's
time
an
to
open
time.
Seat.
And
There's
we're going to be
an open seat.
auditioning. Yeah, there's going to be special guests
got an
for a
open
little
seat.
while.
Yeah. Yes.
So we'll see. Maybe
we'll see who fits.
Maybe we'll make it a rotating thing all year if that's the case. Maybe
Maybe.
it'll be like a guest chair that we use.
Maybe.
I think that'd be pretty cool.
Unless I fall in love. If I fall in love, then I don't know. Then we got to keep him around.
If you fall in love, then we're gonna have to put that guy in witness protection.
I didn't know this was The Bachelor.
Apparently, that's what he's using it for. So if you get a rose in the mail,
that's what
be
you're
wary.
here for.
Vibes is the loud, obnoxious guy. I'm the guy who doesn't belong there at all. You're the good-looking guy who's going to get a rose every week. At least that's what it looks like.
Thank goodness.
Listen, let's talk about how things shook out at the beginning with the bidding. Obviously, NHL, AHL. I want to get a little bit of information from Ryan because, and we'll talk first about the AHL, but eventually I want to see if you experienced a lot of what happened in the AHL and Vibes, since you're the one management person, one GM who wound up having to work with the bidding process and the categorizations of players and what you could and couldn't do and the prices of players. Talk a little bit about this experience and what really stood out as being an anomaly for Season 5.
So,
we'll start with Vibes first, Ryan.
Right, cool.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you right now, this is my third bidding cycle in LG. I've had 2 bidding cycles in a faraway land in a different league. So I've been through a few bidding cycles, and I will tell you right now, this was the oddest one ever. Because, I mean, you had guys who I consider to be, with all due respect to them, mediocre, maybe even sub-average players getting just enormous contracts. In relativity to them as a player, the pool was very thin, but at the same time there were guys who were pretty good who were getting absolutely no bid. So it was really all over the place because you had these whopping numbers coming out for these average to sub-average guys, and then you had pretty good players just being completely overlooked. It just so happened that certain positions were really, really thin, and it was definitely a struggle to come up with a plan and to facilitate that plan through your bidding process. So, it was a very weird bidding cycle. I guess if there was one word, it would be weird.
So some of the things that you saw, it was, and I think we saw them more and more as the leagues went on, even into the CHL guys getting ridiculous bids. Ryan, is that kind of how it happened as well up in the NHL? Is a lot of what Vibes is talking about what you saw as well happening with the bidding process up there?
I got to be completely honest. I didn't even really pay attention to the NHL because I was actually part of RFA, which happened a week before. And I was originally supposed to be on the Iowa Wild. So I didn't really pay attention because that's not where I was going. However, I found myself now on the Rangers, through a trade. I saw some of the numbers up in the NHL. There's some crazy, there's always $7 million, $8 million, even a $10 million bid on some players because they are that good and you can build around them. There were guys that I thought were steals going for 500K. There were other ones I kind of scratched my head at, going way higher than they probably should, due to the fact that they're like one of the last remaining really good players that always seems to make the numbers go higher towards the end. However, it's kind of how it shook out. It's kind of like the AHL in that regard, where you have some that are steals, others that are kind of perplexing. I feel like it's always a mixed bag.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Definitely a mixed bag. And Sibs, I could actually answer that question a little bit myself, because I was actually involved in the NHL bidding. I was a part of that whole scene. I was right there. And it seems like it's kind of a steady theme throughout at least two leagues. I guess the CHL as well, for this particular season, that there's certain pieces and players and positions that were just really astronomically high. I'd say overall, it seemed to me like the talent pool this season has been and is pretty thin.
I think one of the reasons for that is it is the summer season.
Oh yeah.
There are guys who aren't going to be coming back because they can't devote it. One of my really good buddies and teammates last season, Ubekami Sick, did it because he doesn't have time to do it this season. Right. He'll be back in the fall when the summer's kind of winding down. However, right now he just can't devote time to it.
Yeah, not everyone has as little of a fulfilling life as some of us, and they like to go out and do shit, and some guys like to go out and chase a little bit of tail and have a good summer. And I'm shacked up in my house doing a virtual hockey radio show with you guys. So
yeah, I get it. I absolutely get it. And it coincides with college being over. So, if you're getting out of college, do you want to sit home for a couple of weeks and play video hockey? Some guys may say yes, and then,
some guys
might. And then the guys who have a social life say no, and they don't. They don't play. So, I kind of wish. Maybe for the summer season, maybe you do something a little more condensed. I think a lot of guys don't necessarily want to go into August because that can be either going back to school. Late July, early August could also be, vacation time with whoever, family, friends, whatever. So it's a tough time of year for guys to get to be able to commit to playing in July, August. And then getting back to college, it's hard to say you're going to be there for the finals if you're going to be away. Things are up in the air. So I understand it. Maybe you cut the season in half. Maybe you cut the teams in half. I don't know, but I think it'll survive. But the CHL obviously is having some issues right now. They're getting a lot of forfeits, and they've got small TC rosters to deal with. So I feel bad for those guys down there trying to field the team every night.
Well, I mean, they did expand it and really, literally double the size. There are going to be
there's like 12,000 teams or something in the CHL.
It's not like that couldn't be foreseen. And I know there are more guys signing off right now. I was looking through the news feed looking for new stuff before I went on, and you can look, and there's a ton of people signing up. The one thing I do have to say about the summer season that I think that cannot be understated is the fact that I think it gives guys who wouldn't normally have a shot at either the AHL or the NHL, and I think that's kind of cool in that regard.
That is
it is
true.
a time to shine.
That's definitely true. You are 100% right on about that.
Some of the things we talked about before the show were, and you've touched on a little bit, vibes about the high prices. The famous Guan bid at $10.5 million. That is, you see something like that and you say, okay, what's the motivation? What's the purpose at that point? Is it inexperience? Is it wanting to make a statement for some reason? Is it just wanting to get your friend on the team? I mean, what causes these incredibly high bids that we've seen? Or is it just, like you said, that there is a limit in talent this season?
I personally think that the person doing that bidding probably had an extra chromosome. They probably traded the extra chromosome in for a lot of money, and they felt like they had extra money to spend, and that's why you got the high bid. No, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it is just making a splash. I don't know. Just to be able to say, hey, I got this guy. Maybe you think that he's going to. Maybe you like the 33% of wins. Maybe you feel like he's not going to drop a game all season, and you feel like that 33% can help get your team over the barrel. But the sacrifice that you have to make, across the rest of the board in regards to your team, when spending that much money on a guy. But maybe you feel like the 33% of wins, plus maybe the 3 games in a playoff series are worth it. And maybe you know enough guys that are going to be minimum price that you can make it work. I don't know, but I know it's something that I would stay away from. But hey, we saw Guan go for 10.5, and then it was like 20 minutes later, the guy got a buyer's remorse refund. So I guess it worked out.
I think one of the things, though, that may play a part into this is the fact that there were 30 extra draft picks, and there were teams that were absolutely loaded going into it and have a really, a lot of draft picks. So there's a lot of cap savings there for quality players that could play a part into it. I think, who was it? San Jose had like 9 picks, something like that.
Right.
Yep.
That does make life a lot easier.
Oh yeah.
But
it almost
I'm sorry. I thought that was a great move by the NHL, adding those extra 30 picks and adding a 4th round.
I liked it because I feel like it helped the league get out to a head start as far as like making this league sort of take shape. Because when you think about like real hockey, in the NHL and the AHL, a lot of times you see draft picks, you know what I mean? And then they are sort of, they filter throughout the ranks, where you'll have maybe the top guys make it to the NHL. Then some guys fall into the AHL for development. Other guys stay even lower in the CHL. And I think it's done a good job as far as helping out in that regard to sort of getting the league into a much more simulation state, to where now the bidding is kind of like you equate it to adding free agents. So I liked it. I did. I think it was a good thing.
And I think one of the other things is that you get to keep those draft picks for 2 seasons, and then they've added these new RFA rules, which gives you the option for the 3rd. And I thought that was kind of interesting to see, and could definitely play a part in the next couple of seasons. Especially for the draft picks coming off of their entry-level contract.
Is that you talk a little bit about the RAs and I guess that matters if the person who if the GM who took that player values that or either for his team or for another team that that can trade with. Is it more of a bartering chip than it is, well, I like this guy that much and I'm hoping I can have him for that extra year? Or is it more because it's a valuable piece to have in a trade?
I think it can go either way.
Go ahead, Vibes.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I was just saying, I think it can go either way. It could either be it could be a bargaining chip, or it could be you just feel like having bringing a player along. If I'm reading your question right, I don't know. Maybe.
No.
I'm reading it wrong, but
I just don't. I don't see a lot of. You very rarely see a lot of GMs wanting to bring along players. It's the part of this game that isn't really realistic because A lot of GMs like to trade. They like to wheel and deal. It's not necessarily about bringing along a team. How many of them actually stay with the team that they're managing more than 2 seasons? So, and then you have to deal with whether or not they go to the NHL eventually.
Yeah.
I don't know if there are a lot of guys out there who really value the ability to be able to bring a player along.
Probably not, to be honest with you. But I feel like there should be. You know what I mean? I feel like
Sure.
because like you guys know, I'm a big fantasy, simulation guy where that's the biggest draw to me with these hockey leagues is trying to simulate, real life hockey. You know what I mean? Because in real life hockey, you have a guy, you have a player where you see the potential. You feel like maybe he is, a season or two off from making an impact on, whatever team. So you kind of develop them and bring them along, and I think that can sort of translate into this, believe it or not, because I just from a personal, just me in particular. I do know that when I first started back in season one here, it was my first year in, any sort of um, organized virtual hockey league. I do know that at that point I was a certain type of player. And I do know that now I've sort of developed into a better player. And I know it sounds weird because you're playing a video game, so how do you develop? But it's absolutely a thing. You know what I mean? You become used to doing certain things in certain situations. Times where you might have forced a cross crease pass, now you don't. Instead you look for around the back or out to the point or just even a simple shot on net. But I think the development thing is a reality. It's a truth, and I think that maybe if more guys bought into that, it could be good.
I completely agree. I think development actually does happen. You can watch it as guys learn how to cycle the puck and move it
Yeah.
around in the direction it moves around. Learning how to play defense in certain situations, learning how to trap, on the
Yep.
blue line, stuff like that. If you play just drop-ins, you're never going to learn that.
Yeah, I mean,
Sure.
at one point, I'm not trying to push anybody off the mic, but at one point, like you kind of, like you're saying, Ryan, like drop-ins, you kind of just get the puck and go, right? Oh, I got the puck, let me go. I'm gonna skate to the other end, go, go, go. And as you come along here in these professional, these virtual leagues,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of changes, and you try to develop a way to maybe break a trap or slow the puck, but get the puck up the ice, slowly but surely. So it definitely changes.
We've got a bunch of guys around the 3.5 million mark. You've got Squid at 9.25 mil. Uh, you know, again, one of those big bids got knocked off the board. But do you think some of these high contracts, these guys are actually going to be worth the money? Is Squid? I mean, let's just talk about him in general. Obviously, a very good player, guy who was in the running for MVP, played incredibly well, and certainly one of the top players in the AHL. I don't think there's any question about that. Is he worth that money? Do you think he's going to be worth that money in this season? Is he going to be? Is it going to be something that is going to take San Jose, who have played well so far? Is he a guy that they're going to be thankful to have at the end because he's going to be one of those guys who's going to get them there?
Ryan, you got anything on that? You want me to jump in there?
I can talk. I think he can definitely help the team and again kick it to another gear. He's one of those guys that can do a lot of the work by himself, but also elevate other players that are playing on his line. I mean, looking at that team, there's several players, especially forwards, that stick out who are terrific. I mean, Ducks fan, the GM, is a phenomenal player. J-Cap is quite good. You also have Razor Edge, and then you have a couple draft picks as well. I think he helps facilitate some of the offense, and again elevate the level of the team. He's probably overpaid. Like, let's be honest here. 9 is a little bit high, but he is one of probably what you would call elite players playing in the AHL right now.
Yeah.
If you have the cap, then it's probably a good move. If we're being honest.
Yeah, I mean, it can. I mean, I have an opinion there too. Well, first and foremost, I think that the Barracuda had the money because, like Ryan was talking about before, they were a team that was kind of wealthy in draft picks and were kind of okay before the season even started. But also, the three of us were on the awards committee last season, and so all three of us have insight to certain numbers, and we know that Squid he fared much better against lesser competition, right? So I don't know if the person making the bid knew that or whatever, but or even if they cared, but. We know that Squid struggled. I want to put the word "struggled" in quotations, but he kind of struggled against the top end talent in the league. So that is kind of a large bid. But
it's funny because they still have $1.5 million under cap, and but you look at Razor Edge, $750,000. That's nothing. Patriot of Canada, $500,000. They've got some of these single G6, who I know is a pretty good player, $500,000. When you're able to do that and get quality, see, that's when it matters. You can spend $9 million on Squid, but the other guys that you get back who are playing up there in front, who, especially I think on defense, if you can get guys at a good price who are really good defensemen, I think that's a lot of what Stockton did too, and they were able to, you're able to save the money for those big players, and then you get on the back end, you get the really good player at the cheap price. The more you have of those, the more successful I think you're going to be.
Yeah, that's why bids like that they're all relative in as far as being worth it or not, because. If you have the ranks filled out, then why not, right? But you better make sure the guy that you're spending all that wad on is worth it. I'm sorry, Ryan. Go ahead.
I was going to say cheap contracts make teams infinitely better, especially if those cheap contracts can play. I can't stress that enough. It makes being a GM so much easier when you don't have a cap crunch, because the majority of your contracts are low. It makes it so easy. I mean, I can look back as a personal example. Last season, again, we had $15 million to spend. We spent, I think, $3.5 million on OMG price, which I think Chiz Nasty, who was owner at the time, was like, "What the hell are you guys doing?" And we're like, "We're going to go out there and get the best goalie possible because we have the money. Why not? Saving it isn't going to do a goddamn thing. It's not going back into my virtual wallet. I might as well spend it."
Right.
And it was a good move. I mean, and same with Vanishing Point. He went for, I think, 7. And we said, you know what? That's fine because we have money to spend.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it wasn't until after season 2 that I finally realized that we don't actually get that money back at the end of the year. I was under the impression that we get all that sent to us in a check, but it doesn't happen.
No.
I'm still waiting for my contract money. It hasn't come in the mail yet. Must be snail mail.
It's coming. It'll be there eventually.
Hey,
I can't wait for the day that it shows up in my bank account.
Yeah. You'll be waiting a long time. Let's talk about the season so far and the players that have put up some numbers. We talked a little bit about San Jose and Razor Edge, who to this point has put up some pretty interesting numbers. Has played well. Sakic we've seen before, but Razor I haven't seen a lot of. Paulie necessarily, not a lot of. Fishy here and there, but I'm a little bit surprised maybe by some of the names that are up there. Or right now, Ryan, and just taking a quick look at what the stats are so far in this league and what you've been able to get out of that. does any of this surprise you, or is this just a culmination of, there were good players who maybe were buried a little bit under some other really good players who have moved on, and maybe they're just taking their rightful place in the AHL at this point?
I think right now it's way too early to start making those distinctions. If you put up, I saw a game yesterday down in the CHL where a team beat another team 17-2, and a guy put up 15 points, which would be enough to lead the CHL. I think it's way too early to start saying, wow, this guy is, phenomenal. He's going to dominate all year long.
Right.
If you have one good game, it happens. It does. Over the course of the season where you have one really, really good game, put up 1 billion points, but it's not really representative of the season that you're having. I think it's a little bit too early. There are some names up there that I'm not shocked to see at all. One of them, again, Razor Edge, I thought I'd see. I thought he played for Charlotte last season with Ducks fan. That again, that chemistry thing coming back. I'm not shocked to see him there. He has good line mates and chemistry. There's some others. I think Squid is up there. I think he's 17th with 12. CFAIA, not shocking that he's up there. We'll see, though. I'm a firm believer in after week 3, things, the dust starts to settle and you can start to really make accurate representations of what's happening in the league. Right now, it's a little bit too early to be making those calls.
It's funny, every time I hear someone reference week 3 as like a marker, I kind of smile because I just remember I kind of coined that whole season doesn't really start until week 3 thing.
It's so accurate, though. It really is.
It is. Yeah, it's true. It's what I'm telling my team now too. That's pretty much what I'm holding on to. As like I said, as we fuck the dog. Excuse me, that's my phone. I have a house phone. I'm old.
1992 apparently is calling.
What's a landline?
Wow.
Yeah.
What's a landline? Yeah, Ryan has no clue what you're talking about.
Yeah. Is that you, Doc?
You have to call an operator first before you can get through to somebody else, or?
Are you sure that's not your telegram?
It's Morse code he's getting.
Yeah, no, there's a stalk at my door right now. No, there's a stalk out.
Jesus. Okay. Please continue.
Well, I hope not because they deliver babies. What the hell was I saying?
I don't know.
Now.
I really wasn't listening.
Something about week 3.
Usually people aren't. Oh yeah, no. I was basically just patting myself on the back about the whole coin in the week 3 thing. So
great job there, Vibes.
If you ever don't know what Vibes was saying, just assume he's patting himself on the back for something.
Yeah, if you ever see me icing my shoulder, you should probably know why. It's because I'm,
the funny thing is with the players this season, if you look at the goalies, there's still plenty of the same names you've seen. Mello, Be Nice, Watermelon's there, Moose is there, Flyers 1992, Tyler Lokey. There are some other guys in here as well that have shown some brilliance early on. Flyers app, 3-1, 2 shutouts so far this season, 1.5 goals against. He had those shutouts back to back, I believe, and so you see a lot of the same names there, and a couple of guys who have been around who may not have had big names in the AHL last season, but are known as well. So. It's funny. Goaltending, I think, is a little bit exempt from what we're seeing, at least in the first week, with the other players. I know, Ryan, it's early. I get it, but I think goaltending is something that management does value, and when they can get it, and they typically can get it for a pretty good price, you're not usually spending $5 million on a goaltender. I think that's where you can go up to $2-3 million if you maybe a little more if you find a guy who's really who you really like a guy like Tyler. I would pay $3 million easy for or more. Be Nice, Mello, providing Mello can stay around the whole season. I think he's another guy you don't mind spending money on, and that's a position that hasn't wavered so much just yet. We'll see how that moves on during the season, but. They have a lot of value. I don't know if they have so much value up in the NHL as they do in the AHL. I think they're more valuable down here.
I agree. I mean, if you can get a workhorse that can play, 5 to 6 games a week, it really does change how your season goes. Having that guy back there who's just a wall makes you sleep easier at night. Uh, I completely agree. I think some goalies should go for 3. I think the whole, you spent 3.5 on a goalie. You're stupid. Is such a it boggles my mind because goaltending has such an effect on the game.
Trash Clown's getting 3.5 on the golds, and I'd be happy to pay that money for him, Vibes.
For sure.
Well, first and foremost, I'm absolutely shocked that Sibs is talking about goalies and lobbying for goaltenders. I mean, I'm a little bewildered. I can't believe it. Never happened.
Let's be honest. My team has me as maybe their lead goalie right now, and look how we're doing. So I think it's important to get that, like Ryan said, get that shut down goaltender who you can count on to keep you at 1-2 goals a game. I think Moose was that guy for us last year on the Bears, and when you can get a guy like that, you can go a long way. And Moose and Trash Clown and Price and Tyler and Be Nice, they all did a hell of a job for their teams.
Well, goaltenders are important, and I mean, like we've spoken before about the fact that there's a certain threshold with goalies where I think a grand majority of goalies probably only are worth maybe a mil tops. But then you get into the super elite level of goaltenders, and if you have it again, it's all relative, right? I mean, I think that's the one thing that we can say definitively is that everything's kind of relative to the team and the situation. Where, if you have the extra cap to spend, then why the hell not, right? Because like we were saying, we're still waiting on our fucking checks, right?
Right.
So, if you have the extra cap to spend, then you can allot those funds to, to that particular area. Then why the heck not, right?
Exactly. You can pay $1 million to Moose and have him on his team. I mean, that's a big benefit for the Bears to be able to hold on to Moose and still have him as their number one goaltender and put him out there as much as you can. And again, like I said before, Ryan, I think it's more valuable to the AHL. I think the NHL certainly wants solid goaltenders without question, but I think there might be more lapses in defense on the AHL that need a goaltender who's going to make that spectacular save to keep them in. I think it's a less structured game, so a goaltender has to have a little bit better senses, and I think that's why these guys that we see down here doing so well are so important to any AHL team that does well.
Absolutely. I think one of the other things that differs between the NHL and the AHL level is the NHL, the difference between goaltenders up there isn't as, I guess, steep would be the word I would use. You go up against a team and you'll know that the other opposing goaltender isn't going to give one up easy. You know that for a fact. When you play some of these AHL goaltenders, especially the backups, you know that it's going to be an easier game, if that makes sense. You know that you have a chance to maybe get that wrap that they won't see coming, or something like that. NHL, I think the level of talent is a little bit closer together, whereas in the AHL, the difference between an elite goalie and one who's maybe not so elite is much different, I guess.
In the AHL, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. Because I mean, if you look, I've actually done some analysis on this. If you look at the NHL, typically the higher end goalies in the AHL will have better save percentages than the higher end goalies in the NHL. In the NHL, it's a much more, narrower of a range, kind of like Ryan was just saying. I'm kind of saying exactly what he just said, but it definitely is. It's definitely a narrower range where the quote unquote upper end goalies in the NHL might have like a 76, 77 save percentage, where the top goalies in the AHL have, we're looking at 80s. I mean, yeah, sure, you got a few goalies up there that have, 80s save percentages, but it's pretty uncommon. But by the same token, in the AHL, you got some goalies who, I don't even know what the fuck they're doing, to be honest with you. I don't know why they're even playing goalie, because they can't stop shit. But you don't really see that too often in the NHL.
Right. So first week, but the guys that we're seeing that are up top in the standings right now in points and goals and all that. Do we expect them to stay up there, or is this again like Vibes has said? You got to get through the first 3 weeks, get to week 4, and that's really where you can judge this. Can we expect these guys to stay where they are, or like Ryan's saying, do you believe it's too early to say that?
Well, there's a few guys in the top 5 that I'm looking at who are definitely so. Like Paulie Chunks is an Xbox guy. He's not like a world beater on the Xbox side, but he is Xbox NHL. So he should. I would say he'd probably stay up there somewhere. I'd look for Dupe to rise. He's put up. I forget. He's got something like 13 points in 3 games or something like that. So he's doing pretty well for himself. And then Fishy HD, he's the truth too. He's a really good player. He's actually somebody who I was pushing for my organization to draft. They never did, but I was pushing for him. I wanted to see him in the fold somewhere, and he didn't go until like mid-second round, so he was definitely obtainable. But he's definitely a really good player. He's shifty. He's definitely not a straight liner, and he should be up there somewhere too. And then I think there's a few guys who are getting a late start who you will definitely see up here on this list somewhere. Like one of them is on my team, Sessman, who actually I think he put up 11 points in one game the other night, or no, it couldn't have been 11 points because we beat the team 10-0. But he put up, I think he was in on all 10 goals. I think he had 10 points. So he's got like, I don't know, he's putting up like 6 points per game or something like that. So there's a few guys not on this list that I think you'll see rise. But these guys, as far as I think they all do stay, except for I got to be perfectly honest, I have absolutely no fucking idea who Slick Rick 9878 is.
Okay.
I have no clue. And if he's a good player, I'm sorry, but I have absolutely no fucking idea who he is.
I mean, 17 points and a plus-minus of 0 is kind of impressive, to be honest.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, it is. So I guess technically I do know who he is now, but I don't know. I've never seen him before. I've never heard of him before, which is rare. So.
Well, we'll see how it cracks. I mean, there's still tons of time to play. He was a draft pick, so and put up some decent CHL stats with 73 points in, was it 23 regular season games? So
yeah.
he can play. We'll see how it translates. I think that's one of the other interesting points is you have all these new CHL guys coming up and seeing how they either sink or swim.
Well, we've talked mostly about players, teams last season, positive things we had fun with. This might be something that me and Vibes have fun with, but it's not going to be fun for some of you. And that is some of the things we're seeing early in the season. And we'd certainly like to get your input too in the shout box or on the YouTube chat stream. And basically what we want to talk about is a lot of stuff that Vibes and I are seeing in management discussions, stuff that we're seeing either, messages being sent to GMs by players, maybe your own experiences as a GM. But we're seeing a lot of guys who are complaining to the current GMs that want to get traded, aren't putting in official requests for trade, and then they get moved. And I've personally seen a couple of times where players come in and say, hey, I'm just letting you know, if I don't like who I'm playing with, I'm going to leave. I'm going to, ask you to trade me, or I'm just not going to play, and then I'll get banned and buy it out and just come right back. Just seeing somebody in the shout box saying that now. So
it's just I'm glad you saw it because I was gonna say it too. I was gonna jump on it too.
yeah.
I mean,
And let me
what
just
a
tell
fuckbag, right?
let me just tell the person who's in the shout box who just said that you really have a problem. I mean, this
Yeah.
is a fucking video game. And it's a social one where you're here and you're part of this and part of the draft or part of the bidding because you want to go through the experience of being on an AHL team and being in a league and dealing with whatever is given to you. Do you think a lot of players, maybe some of the star players who are expected to go up to the NHL, they may have some say in it, but a lot of the other AHLers will ride the bus and deal with the shit they're given to them, and that's what a lot of the players in this league should be doing as well. If you're complaining because you don't like to lose, well, I'm sorry if you grew up in the fucking trophy for just participating era, but that's not where a lot of us are at. We want to play the game. Whatever happens, happens, but it's about a social environment. And some of these guys, and we've seen a few of them already this year, I don't like who I'm playing with. These guys are fucking crazy. I don't want to play with these idiots anymore. And it's like, do you understand that you're the cancer? You're the problem that these teams are trying to get rid of. There's a reason why you get moved and moved and moved. It's because every GM that you're with thinks you're a cancer and can't wait to get rid of you.
It's, I mean, just to sum that all up for you, it's because people don't like you. This is what it comes down to.
Exactly.
Nobody likes you. You're a bitch. Nobody likes you. Like, do something else with your time. Because, obviously leagues aren't working out for you. And I'm seriously, trying to wonder if life is going to work out for you. Because, I don't know, if you act this way over a video game where we're supposed to have this virtual sort of community and league where, this type of thing doesn't go on, and you can't handle that, how are you ever going to deal with life?
Yeah, no kidding.
You know what I mean? Because are you going to reject your face because you were born that you look like the ass of a fucking rhinoceros or something? It's just what it is. It's life. It's get over it. And as far as the leagues are concerned, don't play then, because nobody likes you anyway. So don't play. Don't just leave.
I'm assuming you're not necessarily getting that up in the NHL, or are you? What do you know about what's happening up in the NHL at this point, Ryan?
Regarding players trying to get moved?
Yeah, there just seems to be an onslaught of this going on in the AHL, and
it's on the rise.
Yeah, it's definitely on the rise.
It's on the rise.
I have to say, I've played since season 2 now. It always happens. This is nothing new.
No, it's not new, but it's not new. But I feel like it's becoming more. I just feel like it's becoming more and more and more to where players are almost. You know what the league needs to do, and I feel like there needs to be some power somehow. I think we need to figure out a way to do it to where we take some power away from the players. Because I feel like right now the players are given too much power to where they can sort of dictate where their career goes, you know what I mean, and where they play. And that shouldn't be. Because, I've spoken to a few people about, and they're right when they say, if that's how you feel, then play club. Don't play in these leagues because you're not built for them. You're not made for them. You are not mentally capable, intellectually capable of being in a league like this, and you should probably do something else.
I don't know. I don't see it as a new thing. I think it's honestly about the same level. You see it every season with guys who just quit because they don't like the team that they're on. You have guys who quit because they don't like the line that they're put on. You have guys who don't like GM, so they ask for, a request to move. I don't think it's anything different. I mean, taking power, I don't know how you would force that or come up with a rule where you can't do that. Because it does happen in the NHL. I know this is a simulation league. I hate to, go, oh, well, it happens in real life. But you look at the Jonathan Drouin situation from last season, where he was literally sent down to the AHL. He's an NHL caliber player. He's so good, so talented. Mm-hmm. However, he bitched and bitched and bitched. You have Ho Sang, with the Islanders, same situation, just shitty attitude. So they sent them back down to the CHL.
Mm-hmm.
It happens. I don't know. I don't think there's a way to remedy it. The teams that can move past it do. You can typically trade these players and get something back for them. It is what it is.
The argument is that they, the argument is, they're allowed a, one trade proposal, and I've always said, well, you know what? Screw that. Why even give them one trade proposal and then people are back? Well, what happens if they're on a team with a bad GM? You know what? What happens if you work for somebody that you fucking hate? You either get another job or you deal with it. And you either leave or you stay and deal with it. If you don't like where you are and you can't get past it, then quit the league and join next season. I mean, I'm just sorry that can happen. But report these things too. Say, hey, I've had this issue with this GM. Here are all the things that have gone on with him. And I don't I can't request a trade, but I'm leaving, but I want to let you know about it. See, a lot of these guys, might deal with this stuff. They don't tell the league about it, and so these GMs and the owners perpetuate year in year because nobody files complaints enough with them. There are ways to deal with this, but there are ways that you have to deal with it as a player. You're going to come up with this. You're going to come up against this stuff in life too. And yeah, I know this league is for fun, and we're trying to have fun, but. I think you have to live with the situation and do the best with it. And if they want to trade you, they'll if you're not getting along, eventually a GM is going to trade you anyway. So I think there are ways to deal with it. But I think when you get traded to a team, and the first thing you say is, if I don't like who I'm playing with, you're going to trade me again.
Yeah.
I don't care where that's said.
There's a way to be professional, and then there's also a way to not be professional. It's when the guys are not professional about it when it becomes a real issue.
Right.
Now, listen, there are serious concerns with some GMs. Like, let's be honest. There's been a teammate on every single team that I played for that I maybe didn't like as much. Maybe with the exception of season 4 with last season with Iowa. Season 2, season 3. There's always someone on the team that gets under my skin. It doesn't matter. However, I suck it up and we play through it anyways. And I know that the GMs feel the same way, and they're probably giving it to the GMs that I, don't know. That being said, in both of those cases, it was handled professionally, where they're not going in the shout box screaming, trade me, trade me, trade me. This guy sucks. It's happened behind closed doors in a way that there's a little bit of respect going around always. And so that's how you handle it.
But see, Ryan, that's the thing though. Like, you bring up Jonathan Drouin in real life situations, where players don't want to be on the team that they're a part of. But that's where, the similarities sort of end right there, because in those situations, yeah, sure, you may hear about it, but it stays kind of professional. You know what I mean? The player still goes out and busts his ass every single night for that team until he gets traded. Because there's a certain level of, self-respect and competitiveness in these players to where they still want to perform. And I think that's where the big drop-off and kind of the similarities end, because you don't really see that in these leagues. Because these players will outright go out there and lay on the ice and just, not care about anything and just have a shit, cancerous, absolutely terrible attitude. I don't think you see it to that level in real life. So,
I mean, you look at Sean Avery, but that's another. He's a different animal.
Yeah, but that's a total different story, though. I mean, Sean Avery, he I don't know, even if he was happy where he was playing, he was still a problem, right? So.
No.
I mean, it's kind of a different situation.
I'm sorry that I have to make a confession. That was my first jersey I ever purchased. Was a Ranger.
You're a Ranger fan? I had no idea.
Huge Ranger fan.
I was kind of on the fence about Ryan, but I really love him now. I really.
Well, he had the Ranger picture in his profile even last year. So yeah, is that Graves or I don't remember who you have there.
I have a Leach.
Oh, Leach. Okay,
and then right. I think my Discord picture is the '94 parade. With the ticker tape coming down, stuff like that.
I'm gonna have to.
Different story.
As far as any sort of on-air battle between you and I, we can't do it. Like I gotta agree with everything Ryan says from here on out.
Because we got 3 Ranger fans on this show.
That's right.
Damn.
You're a Ranger fan too,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. We should just make a Rangers podcast. Fuck the rest of this.
Yeah, well, they got to win one of these years to make me happy again. 94 seems like a long time ago now.
I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon.
So we wanted to keep on talking about some of these things. What do we do to combat some of this? I mean, what changes? If you had to make one change, or if you thought there was one thing that could be done to help curb this, is there anything the league should be doing more, or do they just handle it case by case?
I think it's got to be case by case. I don't think that there's any sweeping kind of rule change that they can do to combat it, to be honest. I mean, other than maybe take away the trade request, that's it. That's really it.
Well, how about this? How about this one, which I kind of think should be done? You bow out of this season. You can't buy back in this season. You can get banned for 2, but you can't buy back in now.
I definitely agree with that, and I'd even take it one step further to say that I think that these bans need to be tougher. Like, for example, a guy like, and I'm going to talk about it because it's the first thing that pops in my head, but the whole Guan situation. So, Guan skips NHL bidding to fall to AHL bidding. Whether that was some sort of a workaround to try and circumvent the whole going for a lot of money in the NHL, and it kind of backfired into whatever it did,
Kind of. It was definitely a complete and total implosion.
It was quite of and by the way, Ryan's right because he's a Ranger fan. It was kind of it definitely backfired, and I mean, to suddenly just about face and you know what, I'm gonna quit now. I mean, to me, that is a direct slap in the face too. It's a slap in the face of the team that bid on you. It's a slap in the face to the league that you were being bid on in. It's a slap in the face of the creators of the league. It's a slap in the face to us because we do a podcast for the league. I'm being very dramatic here, but it's a slap in the face to anyone who puts any amount of time into this league because this fucking guy suddenly decides that, I'm gonna try and skip NHL bidding, but now that I'm being bid on and I'm gonna be AHL, you know what? I don't want to do it anymore. So
I don't think it's a slap in the face to the creators, though. I mean, it's $35, right, to buy back in.
Well,
so good for them.
Okay. I'm saying, spiritually and emotionally, it's a slap in the face. Monetarily, maybe not so much. But if that's what it is, if we're working on a cash cow, then all right, fine. But if we're trying to work on a league and actually have a functioning league that's fair and fun and a simulation, then I think it's shit, and I think that it needs to be dealt with. And someone who's doing things like that, I feel like, I don't know, 5 seasons, 6 seasons, 10 seasons, don't ever fucking come back here again. Will we kill you? I don't know. But I think that something needs to be done, if you ask me.
I think 2 seasons is a long time. I mean, it's 6-7 months. I think it's the right amount. I think one of the things that they should implement, and I know there's been talk of it, is if you get banned on one side, you can't go back to the other side.
I think that's in place now, isn't it? I'm pretty sure that's in place.
Yeah, I think a ban is across Xbox and PSN.
Yeah, I think it is now.
I don't think so.
Okay. I thought I saw that talked about just recently. I thought I could be wrong, but I thought that was the case. But I could,
unless the information, the person I was getting the information from was wrong, then I think it is a thing. That's actually a good question to find out if it is platform. Because if it's not, it should be.
Right.
Right. I think it's something that should. I mean, I'm not going to blow the cover of who it was, but they got banned and then now they're playing on Xbox. So it's definitely something that still exists and it shouldn't.
Yeah.
I think it should go across and, really, really, I think it's unfair, to say, oh, this isn't really cracking so well for me on this side. I'll just go play somewhere else. I'll take my ball and go play in another league. Just go sign up for VG or something instead. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, especially with the influx of players who seem to be, leading dual. I'm going to call them dual careers on both platforms.
Right.
So, with the rise in that number, I think it's definitely a thing to where if you get banned in one league, you absolutely should be banned in the other league because, you know, it allows for more leverage because, as of right now, if it's how Ryan is saying, then, you just get banned in one and go play in the other. And what's the big deal, right?
It raises the stakes and it makes you have to be better about how you are and how you conduct yourself.
Yeah.
Well,
By the way, this is something that's been like killing me. I've heard a whole bunch of people say that Xbox players coming over to the PSN is not a good thing.
okay.
I think it's great. I think it raises the talent level of each league that they participate in, and you have bodies playing. I think it's only good. I don't understand how someone can, say that it's a bad thing. But anyway, I just had to get that in there.
I think because Xbox started first and PSN came along a couple of seasons ago and I think there was a decent amount of shit talk from the Xbox players early on, and then they saw how quickly this grew and the talent level on it, and I think it just became appealing to a lot of Xbox players who frankly might not have been getting time over there, might have been good players who wanted to get more playing time and saw an opportunity where a bit of a Wild West out here in the PSN side, so they joined and they're still coming and I haven't played the Xbox version, but I've heard from people that they felt it played better on PSN, so I don't know if that's the case. Maybe you guys know more, but I think it's a couple of different variables, and it's amazing how we're in Season 5 and they're still streaming over from Xbox to come play in this league.
For sure. I think it's only good. And then it allows them, as you were saying, when they were talking that shit, to back it up. So.
Well, with that said, I mean, we could talk about this and shit talk a lot of people, but I'd like to see the league do more. I don't know what they're going to do, if anything, in the future, but we stretched it to get a CHL this year. I would have liked to have seen us wait till Season 6 to maybe do that. In the meantime, what is there? You need 550 or something like that players to play to field the full AHL league, plus whatever training camp players you need on each one of them. I'm more than happy. Let's say we need 1,000 players to get this done. If we cut 10% out, even 5%, the top 50 jackasses who don't belong here, who are just more of a troublemaker and more about themselves than a whole team concept, I'm more than happy to weed these idiots out and try and because there are so many more guys who want to play this the right way. We're talking about a small percentage, but they're the loud percentage. They're the ones who want to complain to everybody in the shout box, to their management, to anything and to any place that they can be heard. And I'm more than happy. I would be more than happy if the league just cut rope on them and just let them fall to the ground, and try and reward the players who are doing the right thing, who are trying to be part of a team, and are do the kinds of things that Minnesota did last season, that Stockton and Syracuse and the Sens, try and do all the right things that you need to do to field a team of guys who want to play with each other. It's funny. I talked to a lot of you guys, a lot of these teams, and Stockton is like one big family. I mean, that's the way it should be. But unfortunately, we don't hear enough of those stories. We hear a lot of the idiots in the league, and at the very least, let's ban them from the shout box so we don't have to hear them there. Something.
I tell you, man, it's how I know I'm getting old because a lot of these people that are around here, and they're probably kids, to be honest. Well, I'm almost positive they're kids. They're just fucking annoying. You know what I mean? Just point blank, they're just annoying people.
Yeah.
They just annoy me. So, I mean, I must be getting old. This must be what it is because yeah,
I
I
don't
can't
know,
stand a lot of these people.
Ryan, are we sounding like old guys, or
You're
is that?
sounding like total old guys right now,
Is
and
it is
it's
this a
kind of sad and pathetic. It's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. Have you guys looked at the NHL shout box? I don't. I love the AHL shout box. I think it's terrific.
I've heard it's really bad. I mean, you could talk more about it than I can because I really don't go in there.
It's like not even worth posting. In the AHL, I always feel like I can throw something in there. I can zing someone, and it's all in good fun. NHL, it's just like, how dare you say that? Rah, 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 rah. Here, it's kind of like, they throw it right back, and it's, I like the AHL shot box. I do.
And that doesn't happen.
sad?
They don't
He
push
just
back.
called me sad and pathetic.
Well, I think he was
Sorry.
right about
Well,
that.
Totally having a get
You
off
got
my
to agree
lawn
though, because
moment.
I'm a Ranger fan, right?
He's got a point. He's got a
I
point.
I hate the fucking Rangers now. I can't stand them.
Oh, that's not true. We know
Honestly.
that's not true.
Fuck you and the Rangers.
I
So who are
know.
you going with now, the Isles or the Devils?
I'd rather, like I say all the time, I'd rather cut my balls off with a nail filer.
Yeah, I would rather I'd probably rather use the bottom end of a lawnmower than be an Islander fan.
For
Yeah.
sure.
And the funny thing is, I grew up 20 minutes away from the Coliseum. I wound up working with Islanders radio for a couple of years, and so it was painful the whole time. But yeah, we grew up. We would have the Islander Ranger, street hockey games where there was always a half a dozen fights or more. So there's a severe hatred between Islander and Ranger fans.
I
For sure.
can
I mean, I
actually,
grew
I
up
can,
in
Go
Connecticut,
ahead.
over by Bridgeport, where they have the Sound Tigers. So everyone around there, they're all Islander fans because of the Sound Tigers. It's
Wow.
kind of weird dynamic.
I can actually, I can stomach the Islanders more than I can the Devils, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, the Islanders have been in the basement for the last
I was
couple
going
years.
to say, and I think that's indicative of my age because it just shows that throughout the '90s, the Islanders were pretty irrelevant, and even in the 2000s, have been pretty irrelevant. So,
Well, they had Rick DiPietro, so
yeah,
And at least unlike the Devils, I don't think either one of those teams ever had their parades right in the parking lot where the arena is. So,
Yeah.
that's a positive when you're not a Devils fan.
exactly.
yeah.
I guess it's time for us to wrap it up here. Any final thoughts after week one? Like you said, we've seen this season after season. You've got to let things wash out. We have to see how more and more trades are made and guys are brought up and moved around. What we're seeing even as a team, even with each team right now, could be very different 3 weeks from now. I mean, that's why for me it's hard to say anything about the season so far because we could talk about some of these players who've popped out, and that's nice that they've had a good week one, but it's hard to really discuss the first few weeks because there's so much uncertainty.
I mean, one team that jumps out to me looking is Toronto, and I think that trend will continue, going 9-0 and only giving up 14 goals in 9 games. That's crazy. That's crazy. Shout out Toronto.
Moose are packing it in with 3-4-2, and season's obviously over, and it was a failed endeavor by myself and the rest of the guys.
That.
So
Nobody believes that.
we're basically done. So when you guys see the Moose, it's an off night for you guys. So just take it for what it is and take the win, and hopefully you guys can push on because we're obviously done.
You're only 6 points back. You're not doing too bad.
Now we're done. Season's over.
I like the attitude.
Yeah, it's it's far from over, obviously, but it's interesting because we have seen a couple of teams who have gone ahead and brought back a lot of guys from last season, and they're some of them are doing okay. The Heat 3-5-1 so far this season with quite a few of the guys returning. Is it rust, or is it even with some changes on their team, is it a little difficult for them to get their footing under them in the first couple of weeks?
They'll get better.
That division's a gauntlet. I gotta be honest. Looking at it, I think there's a couple really, really, really good teams. You have Ontario, who had a terrific week going 8-1.
Right.
I think San Jose is for real. I think the more surprising was I thought San Diego was going to be solid this season as well.
Yeah.
Thrown in there. I mean, and I think Tucson is a solid team. I think they got some really good players. It's early. We'll see. I throwing out a prediction. I think that's going to be the best division in the AHL. Is that Western Pacific? I think there's a lot of really good teams up and down.
We'll check back at the week 3 vibes marker, I think, because I think a lot of things are going to change, and there's certain teams that are flying high right now that are going to be cleaning up dog shit by the end of the season.
Now,
so
is it after week 3? Is that what we're talking about before getting into week 4?
I see. That's actually where there's a little gray area in the whole vibes equation, where it kind of starts
always
like
looking
week
for
3.
fucking wiggle room, isn't he?
Week 3 is kind of like the start. It's like the opening week. So it depends on how you look at it. Does it start at the end of week 3, or does it start at the beginning of week 3? I guess it's relative. So,
but more importantly, what's the over under on when the first player on your team wants you to die, or has that happened already?
On my team?
Yeah, on your team.
No, that shit don't happen. My players love me, man. It's the rest of the league that can't stand
I'm going to have
me.
to talk to them. Well, that's true, too. I'm going to have to talk
I
to
think
them
the over-under's week after week 2 is when I'm calling it.
Yeah, 3 to 4 right now. They still got a shot. There's nothing to be too upset about, but
I know week 3 is the marker, but I think week 2 for vibes is very conservative.
Dude, my players love me, and by week 3, like I said, we'll actually never mind. Season's over. We're packing it up. So
you know what? I'm looking at your roster. You got a lot of good players on here. I would think just because he would like to have fun with you, I would think Funky would tell you to go fuck yourself first.
Funky, yeah, Funky. He might.
He would do it.
It's a possibility because him and I are friendly, so I could see that happening.
It's a friendly FU.
Yeah. I see Skilled Python in the shout box saying good job, Sibs, good job, Vibes. Thank you, Skilled. And I think we'll be giving Skilled probably a dry run here in the next, probably maybe next week or something like that. See how he works out for the show.
Yeah,
I think he could be. I think he could be a good thing. We'll see.
I think that's
Notice
not
how he didn't say good job to me.
Yeah, well,
I go sulk in the corner.
That's because you're a young fucking whippersnapper who thinks that all this shoutbox bullshit is good. So,
I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear you. Is that your landline?
Wow. Hit. You've been hit. Hey, one more thing to mention. We've got a little bit more of an extended media team on the AHL now. Woe is me, Voltage Fusion, Hunter, and Kepler are all on the print media staff now. Kepler's got player interviews every week. He's got one coming out tomorrow afternoon, and I believe that's crazy. He's going to wind up interviewing and printing that tomorrow and posting that. He's going to wind up doing 2 people a week, and so look for that on the AHL main page. He'll post it there. We'll throw a media tag on it, and you'll be able to pull out anything with a media tag and take a look at what these guys have done so far. Obviously, Vibes, myself, Ryan, and Dead Soul from time to time are your podcasting hosts for the AHL This Week show. And we've got Ducks fan, JCap, and Kuznier doing video production. They're going to work on plays of the week and try and get a video out every week, every 2 weeks, depending on what they get from you folks. So if you have a chance to send in any highlights, you can always hit us up on LG. I'll get you the email posted next week so that you can see it on screen. But we have a Gmail that you can send stuff to. We'll get all that information out next week when we're a little bit better prepared for the show. But
Sibs has done a great job of developing his legion of minions, I gotta say. He's got us all out in full force now.
Well, the CHL now has a media team as well, so we've got print media, podcasts, and video production going there as well. So, and I think actually I forgot to mention that Vanessa Graff joined our video production team on the AHL side today as well. So, we're getting more and more media people. We're hoping to get more and more content out for you folks, and hopefully it's stuff that you'll be able to look at, read, listen to, and get a few laughs out of it as well, and try and keep you up a little bit about what's going on in the rest of the league. So it'll be coming out every week. There'll be different types of media coming out, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Any last comments, Ryan, for week 1 and what you've seen so far in the AHL?
I don't think I have anything I haven't said yet. It's going to be an exciting season. A lot of new faces, a lot of new ownership. It's going to be great. I think there's the media teams being grown. It's going to add. It's going to be awesome. It's only positive things.
Vibes?
Shoutbox is AIDS. I look forward to the rest of the season. I had something else I was going to say, but I forgot because I'm old. And I guess that's about it. I feel like I got to poo. So this league wakes up this show always wakes my bowels up. It always gets me needing to go.
So glad you're sharing that with us.
Oh, you know what? Actually, I just remembered. Hold on.
You got no time. You got.
I'm very happy with the new Friday time slot because I feel like it allows us to maybe not be so Sunday dinner like. So that's it.
It'll be every Friday at 8 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel, LeagueGaming.com. Thank you, Vibes. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it.
As always.
And that's it for this week's show. We will talk to you again next week. Same time, right here, AHLPSN this week. T-Sib saying so long.